The tale commences with our protagonist, Kyun-song, plummeting from a building, bewildered as to why he's fallen from the rooftop. It's tragic, especially since he was on the verge of graduation, having endured so much to get there. He can't comprehend why things ended this way, but he's certain that this is the day he falls into eternal sleep. 3 months later, in the hospital, a relative suggests to Hyun-sun's grandmother that they should consider ending life support, given his vegetative state. The grandmother, however, clings to hope, believing her grandson will awaken, despite Hyun-sun hearing every word they say. Later, his grandmother sits by him, holding his hand, desperately trying to wake him, wondering how it all happened. Hearing her worry, he tries to comfort her, but knowing his voice can't reach, he becomes more determined to wake up. Yet, in this dark world, he's powerless. Days pass, and his grandmother remains at his side, growing sadder as others pressure her to let go, not understanding her refusal. She raised him after he lost his parents, so she won't give up, still believing he'll wake up. She pleads with Hyun-sun for a sign that he's alive. Meanwhile, Hyun-sun desperately tries to move but fails. Years later, his younger brother visits, confessing that he can't hold on much longer, as those responsible for his brother's state are now targeting him too. Their grandmother, struggling to pay hospital bills, injures herself working at a restaurant. His brother wishes he had died instead, believing they'd suffer less. In despair, he begs his brother to wake up and fight back, while Hyun-sun, having lost hope, can't even shed tears, now delusional, thinking it's all a dream. He endures, hoping to wake up one day. 3 years later, still comatose, he notices his brother, Hyun-jin, hasn't visited in a while. He overhears nurses glad his grandmother can't visit anymore, joking they can now watch TV louder. Their insensitivity fuels his rage, and he recalls the faces of those who wronged him, including teachers who protected the culprits. If he somehow got the miracle of returning to that time, he would destroy them all. Rage filled his mind as he thought about how to deal with those who made him this way, planning to make it as brutal as possible. Simply beating them up, leaving them on the verge of death, wouldn't suffice. Such a simple act of revenge couldn't satisfy him. From beginning to end, no matter the means or methods, he planned to completely root them out so they could never rise again, making them suffer more than he did. With this, he devised the perfect plan to destroy everything they had. But 10 years had passed, and he was still haunted, with no one beside him. None of it mattered to him anymore, so he begged anyone to end his life. He then opened his eyes, only to find himself talking to himself, which somehow brought him relief. Before he could process what he had said, he realized it was morning, and he was back in a familiar place. Seeing he was back inside his classroom, he assumed it was just another dream about that day. To check if it was real, he pinched his face, and to his surprise, it hurt. Yet, the simple pinch on his cheek didn't convince him, so he grabbed his pen and inflicted more pain on himself. Convinced now that he had returned to the past,